We've got 13 bills on the agenda today, and I'm hopeful to finish the agenda before we gavel in at 11 o'clock on the floor today. So let me cover again some housekeeping rules. Public testimony will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. If you wish to testify, please ensure that you've completed the electronic witness affirmation form at the registration kiosk in the hallway. If you're having trouble registering, please see our assistant clerk, Benjamin Barnes, and he'll assist you with the registration. Let the record also reflect that Chairman Tepper is present. Also, remember, when you're testifying under oath and required to testify truthfully and fully. Members of this committee may need from time to time to step away for other legislative duties, including presenting bills and other committees, handling overlapping hearings. And I know that we have some formal meetings this morning people have to step out to go vote. So this bill, this certainly doesn't lessen their dedication to their work on this committee. As a reminder to the committee and our visitors and witnesses today, under House Rule 4, Section 13, House committees are subject to the same rules of decorum that govern House proceedings. Under those rules, the chair is responsible for preserving order and decorum during the committee meetings, and the chair may ask the Sergeant at Arms to assist in preserving order and decorum if necessary. Outbursts or other displays of support or opposition from visitors in the audience are prohibited. Signs, placards, or other objects of similar nature are prohibited. Foods and drink are prohibited in the hearing room, and members of the committee and witnesses must confine their remarks to the matter being considered by the committee. Members and witnesses, it's important to note that you must first be recognized by the chair. Then you'll proceed with comments or questions on the microphone. Again, I greatly appreciate the cooperation of the committee and our visitors in preserving order and decorum today during the hearing. I intend to be respectful of all members, staff, witnesses, and visitors, and we would respectfully request the same from everyone here today. So with that, let's go ahead and proceed. Let's see. The chair lays out House Bill 5127 and recognizes Representative Raymond to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, and let me say this committee is at a unique advantage over others in that were this crowd to get unruly, you have a former member of the military police as a member of this committee, Representative Lowe, with a lot of experience in keeping people in order, so I think you got a big advantage there. Thank you, members. The issue behind this bill was brought to me by my county commissioners in Webb County, and I hope that we will have my commissioner, John Galo, testify. If he signed up, I hope he did. He's a great guy, probably the best commissioner in the state, I would say, because he's my commissioner and I voted for him. And so that tells you a lot there about his capabilities. So currently, Webb County's purchasing agent reports to the Board of Judges. This bill would allow for the county to elect to have the purchasing agent under the purview of the Commissioner's Court. For Webb County, this would help to increase accountability for the purchasing agent. The bill would remove the auditor that oversees all, the bill would not remove the auditor that oversees all transactions. This bill would simply help to increase accountability for purchasing agents. And I want to point out that on line 11 of the bill, it says the Commissioner's Court of a county by order may. So they don't have to do it, but this bill would allow them to abolish the office of the purchasing agent. And so with that, members, I kept it to less than 2 minutes myself, so there you go. Any questions, I'm glad to answer them. I want to thank Mr. Tepper for joint authoring this bill with me. I appreciate his help very much.
Members, any questions for Representative Raymond? All right. We'll get to thank you, and we'll get to the witnesses and let you have an opportunity to close. The chair calls John Galo.
Good morning, thank you.
You bet. We have you registered as John Galo, Commissioner, County Commissioner for Webb County. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
And you're testifying for the bills, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
I did see that Representative Raymond said that he voted for you. You're under oath, but I'm not going to ask you if you voted for him or not. But nonetheless, we'll let you go ahead and get
I always vote for Commissioner Raymond because he's the only one on the ballot.
All right, go ahead.
Again, thank you, members. I really appreciate it. hoping to give you a little background, but I think none of you have had any county government experience. The purchasing agent serves under the pleasure of the Board of Judges. And this, I believe, was done through history for when all the counties were small counties. So there's three judges and 2 commissioners. I've sat on that court for 12 years. There is no questions, there is no actual interest in this body except for when, like, the elevators don't work in the courthouse, they want to know why it hadn't been fixed, and because they always blame the Commissioner's Court. So this is to allow the Commissioner's Court, and I don't know if the wording needs to be changed. We don't want to abolish the purchasing agent, we just want to bring him under the purview of Commissioner's Court. And so this would allow us, right now, it is allowed, but the Board of Judges have to give up that power, and they don't give up any power. I know a couple of you are lawyers, and you know how judges are. They don't want to give up any power. So I've been there 12 years trying to get this changed because we have no accountability when there's requests for proposals, requests for qualifications, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. The purchasing agent really has no pressure on him to perform accurately. I mean, I know I did a big project in my district where we were doing a drainage thing. They just go on the buy board and picking out culverts that were there. I made one phone call and cut the price in half. And I said, why aren't you all doing this? And so, we don't have to. It's on the buy board, they're already approved, we don't need to get the quotes, we don't need to do anything. So again, I think this would help the Commissioner's Court expedite and be better accountability to the citizens, to the taxpayers, and greatly, and again, it's a power that the Board of Judges have really, I guess, outgrown. I think it's for the smaller courts. I mean, the smaller counties that have one district judge, and he's the one that oversees the auditor and the thing. But anyway, any questions?
All right, thank you. Members, any questions? Pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your testimony here today. Chair calls Leroy Medford.
Good morning.
Mr. Medford, we have you registered as Leroy Medford, Webb County Administrator for Webb County, and you are registered to testify for the bill. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairman.
ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone's time this morning, and of course, Representative Raymond for helping us with this issue. As Commissioner Galo stated, this has been a frustrating item for us regarding the services that we're trying to provide for our county taxpayers. As administrator, I oversee our county departments that fall under the purview of the Commissioner's Court, understanding that the purchasing agent falls under the Board of Judges, and that the Board of Judges obviously have several boards that I think are more comparable to their duties and responsibilities, like the Juvenile Probation, the Indigent Defense Board, Community Supervisions Board. They obviously oversee the county auditor. But the purchasing agent is a particular department that I think falls best under the Commissioner's Court. I know Dallas and Denton County, which are a little larger, well, several, actually very large counties, do have that particular proposal that we're putting forward today in Representative Raymond's bill. So we're asking if the court, this board can favorably consider the opportunity to have the court have the option here in being able to, not abolish, but to be able to have the purchasing agent fall under their purview. And there's nothing wrong with our particular purchasing agent. We don't have anything against this individual or the department. It's just somehow the way they're running the office and doing certain things that could be done better. And I think with that oversight and that accountability, as Representative Raymond mentioned, will help that in this endeavor for the county, for Commissioner Galo, the members of the court, the judge, of course, who wants to move projects along, but move them along at the best expense that we have, managing our taxpayer dollars. I also serve as the assistant budget officer for the county, so obviously our taxpayer dollars are very important in being managed the right way. And so when we go out for proposals and bids, we're trying to get the best deal that we can, the best vendor, obviously, but obviously staying within the budget that we hope to gain. So again, appreciate your favorable consideration in moving this forward for us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Members, any questions? All right, thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify on, for, or against the bill? If not, we'll allow Representative Raymond to close.
Thank you, Chairman and members. Thank you so much. And thank you, my Commissioner Galo, for coming up, and Mr. Medford. And I appreciate all the Commissioners Court, Judge Donna Tejerina and the other commissioners for continuing to look and see how we can be more efficient. I think all of us up here agree that, I know Ms. Cole was in city government, and I'm not sure anybody else was in local government, but we've got to make sure that that our local taxpayer dollars are respected, and that we look at every way possible to use them efficiently. I think this bill helps get us there. So with that, members, I'll close unless there are any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. The chair moves to leave House Bill 5127 pending. Is there any objection? Hearing none, House Bill 5127 is left pending. Yeah, I'm good. Chair lays out House Bill 4477 and recognizes Representative Rosenthal to explain his bill.
Good morning, members. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for your time and consideration of House Bill 4477. Members, this bill aims to strengthen the fairness, stability, and professionalism of Harris County Sheriff's Office by ensuring that the Sheriff's Civil Service Commission has the staffing, structure, and authority that it needs to function effectively. The commission is responsible for protecting fair employment practices by maintaining due process for employees, ensuring hiring transparency, promotions and disciplinary actions, and promoting workforce stability. If the commission is under-resourced or its authority is unclear, then the entire system is at risk, which could negatively impact the sheriff's office and undermine public safety and communities' trust. This bill would accomplish three major things. It mandates staffing and support for the commission, clarifying employment protections from the sheriff's office, and refining civil service exemptions for sheriffs. For staffing and support, 4477 would require counties to provide adequate personnel, office space, and equipment for the commission to do its job fairly and independently. So the county provides all that stuff. For employment protections, employees covered under a civil service system would not need to re-qualify for their positions when a new sheriff takes office. So that would ensure smooth transitions, protecting job stability, and upholding fair standards throughout leadership changes. For civil service exemptions, HB 4477 allows sheriffs serving counties with populations under 3.3 million to exempt up to 10 positions, including their top deputies and staff. For sheriffs serving a county larger than 3.3 million, they could exempt up to 25 positions, along with the chief deputy, legal roles, and any federally grant-funded positions. The bill seeks to strike the right balance of preserving administrative flexibility for sheriffs while strengthening workforce protections. It would ensure fair treatment of our hardworking law enforcement professionals while keeping systems of accounting intact, regardless of who is in office. And members, the whole thing, you know how hard it is to attract and retain good folks, especially in these type of jobs when public safety is on the line. We need to do what we can for these servants, these public safety workers. So unless you have any questions, I'll respectfully request a right to close at the end.
All right. Members, any questions?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Representative Lowe.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So I see it's scratched out to employ an adequate staff, and then it underlines and shall employ an adequate staff to support the commission. Is that, and I'm just asking, is that kind of arbitrary? Like, how do we know what level? I mean, is there somewhere else in another code that requires a certain number of staff, or
How do we
know?
define adequate? Is that your
Yes,
question?
Yes.
That's a good question. I'm going to defer to the witness. We do have an expert witness. I'm actually not certain if that's defined in code or if it's something that's set up by the departments.
Okay, and thank you. And then the other thing is grant-funded positions. Can you explain to me a little bit more about this grant? Which
Yeah,
grant?
absolutely. So in the cases of positions that are funded by federal grants, so their money comes from the federal government, we want to make sure that those positions remain intact in an environment where that kind of funding may be questionable. If it's not going to come from the feds, it's going to have to come from Commissioner's Court.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll let
Thank you,
you
members.
reserve your right to close. The chair calls Natalie DeLuca. Natalie, we have you registered as Natalie DeLuca as testifying as managing counsel, Harris County Attorney's Office, testifying for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Chairman and members. My name is Natalie DeLuca. As you heard, I'm managing counsel at the Harris County Attorney's Office. And I want to thank Representative Rosenthal for his support of this bill and for his very apt explanation of the purpose and the intent of the bill. To give you my perspective and my experience, where that perspective comes from, I have been a government employee since 2006, an attorney. I am a board-certified employment lawyer. I've spent a lot of my practice in front of civil service commissions, and I was thinking this morning, how many hearings have I advocated in front of civil service commissions? And I think it's well over 100, probably more. So I spend a lot of my time in front of these commissions, and I observe the sorts of struggles that they may have in doing the important job that they do. As you know, a civil service commission is intended to ensure fair employment practices. And one of the keys to good working order of a civil service commission is their support staff, who does much of the administrative work of setting hearings and processing all the paperwork and the orders that come with commissions and the great volume of evidence that they have to consider when they do their jobs. So in this bill, the difference is with respect to the language of shall employ, is that this bill previously, or this statute previously said that it was the commissioners would provide to the commission, which is a volunteer organization, not an entity that has the resources to provide many employment benefits. And so it seemed more fitting that it should be the commissioner's court that employs the staff of the commission to provide those greater benefits. And that should resolve some of the gaps in the language. To speak to the grant-funded portion of the bill, this bill is not intended to affect civil service protected employees who may have a position that has grant funding support, but is intended to not provide civil service protection for those who are hired intending to be on a temporary basis.
Natalie, we're gonna have to, your time.
that my time?
Your time's up. We're on a short fuse today, but members, thank you for your testimony. Members, are there any questions? All right, thank you, appreciate
you.
it. We have you testifying for the bill. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify on, for, or against the bill? Not, the chair would recognize Representative Rosenthal to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do hope for your favorable consideration. Unless you have any questions, I'll close.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
The chair moves to leave House Bill 4477 pending. Is there any objection? Hearing none, House Bill 4477 is left pending. Okay. All right, the chair lays out House Bill 2668 and recognizes Representative Reynolds to explain this bill.
Thank you, Chairman Spiller, Vice Chair Cole. You know, I think they say the third time's a charm, but I'm gonna say the second time's a charm, because last session, we passed this identical bill out unanimously. And unfortunately, it got to the Senate late and we couldn't get it across the finish line. So I'm claiming the second time's a charm. I appreciate the opportunity to lay out House Bill 2668. This bill directs the Texas Commission on Jail Standards to conduct a comprehensive study on the living conditions and safety of inmates that are confined in the Harris County Jail, a facility that has drawn concerns from my constituents, advocates, and even the national media. let me be clear. This is not about being soft on crime. This is about being smart on justice. When people are in our custody, we have a constitutional and moral obligation to treat them with decency and humanity. In fact, we know that every inmate has the presumption of innocence as they await their date in court. Unfortunately, too many reports have surfaced about medical neglect, mental health crisis ignored, and tragic in-custody deaths. These are lives lost under government supervision, and we owe it to the public to take that seriously. Most recently, and this is the part that I think the members should really pay attention to, the Texas Commission on Jail Standards issued a public notice in January of 2025 declaring the Harris County Jail non-compliant with jail standards, a designation the facility has received, in fact, on multiple occasions. Today, I'm fighting for my former constituent, Evan Lee Griffin. He died while staying at the Harris County Jail. His story is not an isolated incident. It echoes the experiences of many others who have lost their lives due to similar neglect within the jail. Here are some key facts. In 2024 alone, the Harris County Sheriff's Office reported 10 inmate deaths in the Harris County Jail. Right now, in 2025, they've already reported 5, and we're just about halfway through the year. These are troubling statistics to point out a systemic failure that demands urgent attention. This bill calls for a study, not mandates or punishment, but a serious fact-based look at what's happening inside the walls of the Harris County Jail. It requires the commission to look at issues like access to adequate medical and mental health care, overcrowding, which they've been found guilty of, and sanitation, safety for both inmates and correctional staff, and whether current practices meet constitutional and ethical standards. The findings will be due by the legislature by December 2026, given the tools and insights we need to make meaningful, informed action, because the status quo is not acceptable. This isn't just about Harris County, but it's about Texas and making sure that everyone has justice. When we fail to address systemic issues behind bars, we fail the families of those incarcerated, the taxpayers footing the bill, and the communities that are ultimately impacted when people re-enter society traumatized or even worse, death. So members, in closing, I urge this committee to favorably consider having a study so that the Texas Commission on Jail Standards can really give some best practices so that we don't keep having this happen. Einstein said it best, that the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And Mr. Chairman, I will respectfully reserve the right to close. I'm open for any questions.
All right, thank you, Ron. Vice Chair Cole.
Mr. Reynolds, I appreciate you bringing this bill. I understand that it's limited to Harris County, and I'm wondering if, I'm assuming that Harris County has the largest percentage of prisons in the state. Is that one of the reasons you're looking at this, for this to potentially give us some insight? I think you said that for the rest of the state, but it's only limited to Harris.
Well, the reason why I chose to
That's your
specifically,
district, I understand.
well, actually, the inmate lived in my district, but he was a resident of Fort Bend. That's why, like, it could be, there are 254 counties, but if you are accused of a crime in Harris County, then you're confined to the Harris County Jail, right? So you could be anywhere in the state and be impacted. The reason why I chose Harris County was because Harris County is and has been, based on these statistics, very, I would say, negligent in the way that they oversee and supervise inmates while being housed in the Harris County Jail. They've had an unacceptable number of inmates that have died in their custody. They're under so many lawsuits right now. That's going to cost the taxpayers tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars because of that. They've been found by the Texas Commission on Jail Standards with many infractions, and there's a resource witness here that can answer those questions. So this is there's something wrong that's happening, and this bill is simply a study so that we can correct it. We can give them some corrective action, some best steps, because based on what I understand in one of the most recent reports from the Texas Commission on Jail Standards, there were some serious violations. And this is not just one off or two off, this has been reoccurring. So that is why there's something definitely wrong. And I've met many families, not just my constituents' family, but many other families that had lost their loved ones while being housed in the Harris County Jail. So I don't know if I don't believe any other jail is this bad in the state.
Thank you. Representative Lowe.
Hi, thank you for bringing this up. It's very important that we make sure that we limit the number of deaths in our jails because it's happening across the state. With your bill, the Commission on Jail Standards, what information do you think we would get from this that would not come in a normal report?
Well, that's a good question, Representative Lowe, and I agree with your premise that no inmate death should happen anywhere. And so there's been a disproportionate number of deaths inside the Harris County Jail. This study, by the way, there's no fiscal note here. And what it would do is it would require, as I stated here, that these findings are reported to the legislature, and therefore I believe that it would be more detailed. It would be specifically for Harris County, and it would hopefully uncover some best practices that we could then address maybe through legislative action or whatever else the recommendations find. But I believe that based on what has happened in the past, nothing has changed. I mean, in other words, they've been found in violation year after year after year. And there's a resource witness here that can testify that the commissioners, that they were going to subpoena the county judge because they were supposed to come to basically articulate what is going on in your county jail. And then the judge didn't come. So they had to subpoena the judge to come. And so I'm not knocking any of the commissioners per se, but they have a fiduciary duty to make sure that their jail is in compliance with state law, and they haven't been. So that's why I felt the need to have this bill so that it could put we can get more teeth to it, more weight to it if there's a legislative requirement that they have to do it.
Thank you. I would say that Tarrant County, Dallas County, Bexar County are having, maybe not to the same amount because they don't have quite the same population, are kind of having the same issues. I like this bill. I actually would like it expanded to some of the biggest counties across the state, but that's something we can talk about.
I'd love to
But
visit
thank
with you about that. Thank you, Representative Lowe.
Members, any other questions? Chairman Tepper.
Representative, we had the Commission on Jail Standards. It sounds like by your testimony, they've already given a report. You want to, I think you answered some of this. You want a more detailed
Yes,
report?
sir.
Is that something they're
Absolutely.
not capable? Is that something they're not capable of doing?
Well, I'm not saying they're not capable of doing it. This bill would require them to do it. So I think that once you hear some of the testimony, and I want you to know that I have my constituent Evan Lee's mother's here. We've been on this road for a number of years now, and she's actually went and testified before the commission, and there's still things that are not resolved. So the Harris County Jail, they've been kicking the can down the road. I believe that if we have this, then I think that this would likely put an end to that. So that is raised to that level because they've issued these reports numerous times and nothing has changed.
So, and I guess I misspoke, they don't have the authority to change and to order the sheriff to improve the jail, as per the report.
I believe that they do, but they're best equipped to answer that question. In fact, based on some of their recommendations, it's my understanding that they are even shipping some of the inmates out of the state to other jails in other states. So there are some real particular issues in Harris County that are not in some of the other jails. So personally, I think that this coming from the legislature would give it more weight.
Is it essentially that the jail is overcrowded, or
That's one.
there's
It's
much
it's a
more to
number.
it?
It's a number of issues. Overcrowding is one of the issues that was uncovered.
Okay, thank you.
Members, any other questions? Thank you, Representative Rowan. We'll
Yes,
let you
sir.
reserve
Thank
your
you.
right to
Thank you,
close.
Chairman.
The chair calls Jaslet Griffin. And if I pronounce that right, I might have, I might not. But we have you registered as Reverend Jaslet Griffin, testifying on behalf of Justice for Evan Lee, custody to casket, and self testifying for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning to you, Chair, and to other committee members here. I am Reverend Jocelyn Griffin, and I'm the mother of Evan Griffin Lee, this next of kin. He didn't have any children, but Evan was murdered in the Harris County Jail, March the 22nd, 2022. As of today, I do not know what happened to Evan. However, his death was ruled a homicide, and the repeat situations that have happened, it gives me a rude awakening each time I hear another death has happened. Not only the in-custody deaths that are happening allows and say the jail is definitely an unsafe place. I know it should not be a castle either, but I don't feel it's a holding facility. My understanding in the readings that I got from this facility is a holding facility for those who are waiting their day in court. My son unfortunately got the death penalty while waiting his day in court. And in 2022 was a record of 28 in custody deaths that happened at that facility. Repeatedly, this facility has been out of their standards that they state they're operating on, culture of care and custody, and this is not an example. There's so many. And with Evan's death, and I didn't get an autopsy till a year and some months later. It's just a lot of things that's very unethical, you know, for the custody deaths, but at the same time, I know the incarceration, I feel, should be more of a rehabilitation center. And the overcrowdedness has been used as an excuse, you know, for the facility, but I still feel like there should be some type of care in custody there, as they stated, that, you know, they should be able to take care of those that's there, and, you know, they should not be, you know, receiving the death penalty repeatedly. And to receive this type of news, I received the news from a hospital, not from the agency thus far. And to receive this news, it has given me a rude awakening. You know, to be jobless after this, I'm jobless, homelessness, is just a domino effect of this type of tragedy. And I don't wish this on anyone to have to face this type of atrocity, you know, of your children, grandchildren, any family member. I know that the custody is our structure here in the United States of America for those who are breaking the laws and breaking the rules. But Evan was in there on an error. And it's my understanding that, you know, he was beaten, and the autopsy says afflictions. And that means that he basically was murdered there in his own blood for no apparent reason. And this continuation needs to stop. I feel like this bill can help Harris County Jail. If this bill is passed, it can help them to stay within their guidelines of the state standards, along with a safety and care of custody, as they mentions. I myself just pray and wish and hope that this bill can be passed. Therefore, this same atrocity will not land at your address and many other constituents out there.
Thank you. Like I say, we're on a short time frame. I want to tell you
Thank you.
thank you, and number one, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yes.
And my view, for what it's worth, is that, you know, except and to the extent that people in county jail facilities have either been convicted of state crimes and are awaiting transportation there, or if they're convicted of misdemeanor crimes and they're serving their sentence, everyone else there is presumed innocent. Everyone else there has not been convicted on those crimes, and they're entitled to have a safe place to be. And so certainly I'm sorry again for your loss. Let me say this, members, do you have any questions? Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony here today.
Thank you.
The chair calls Diane Bailey Reisenberg. Yes, ma'am. And we have you registered as Diane Bailey Reisenberg. I'm sure I mispronounced that.
You're correct.
Evangelist testifying for yourself, testifying for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, all protocols observed. Good morning. I'm here for the bill. This bill needs to be passed. And it should have not been things like this happening for a bill like this to be passed. This is a normal thing to be happening for people to live in decency. As an evangelist, I know what has been happening is ungodliness. And when people fall from grace, they go to disgrace. And this is what is happening. Ungodliness. No one respects life. It's the disrespect for life that has been happening in the Harris County Jail. This is my son. I've lost him too in the Harris County Jail. This is Ramon Aquino Warren Thomas. 30 years old, he died too in 2023, July 1st. And he just had a little mental illness. He's never committed a crime, never walked with a knife or anything. A Christian. And whenever the police sees him, they always choose to harass him. He's warning them about the word of God while they are trying to arrest him until they killed him. The autopsy I got from Harris County says he died in unnatural causes. But I made sure I got a second opinion. He didn't die from natural causes. He was battered, choked, and beaten with, what do they call it? Yes. And this is what we're living with in this America, not just in Texas, because I've seen videos of different states what have been happening. So this is ungodliness. I've worked in the government system for 22 years. I'm a big woman. Next week I'll be 58. I grow my children to respect the law and to in godliness. And what I see, you have employed people, they have employed people who know nothing about humanity. I don't talk of politics, I talk of godliness and humanity, that's me. And once we stay in godliness and humanity, we can't go over on the other side of the law.
All right.
And the law is not godly, has nothing to do with God or humanity.
Diane, your time's expired, but I
Yeah, I
want to tell you
understand. I am
again.
hurt and I am really living with relatives because I can't even work anymore.
I understand, and we again, I want to say I'm terribly sorry for your loss. This committee is going to give this bill due consideration.
Yes,
Thank you for
please.
your testimony here today. Members, any questions for this witness?
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here
You have
today.
a good day.
The chair calls Ethel Green. Yes, ma'am. We have you registered as Ethel Green, testifying for yourself, testifying for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, and also
right
in
ahead.
support of my Reverend Griffin and Sister Diane. I just want to say that thank you all for having this committee. I'm in support of what's right for everybody, not only just their family, also the rest of the families. But with this bill, I'm just encourage you all to pass this bill so that more things can be done for each family member that's waiting or just anticipating their child in custody. But thank you so much for those small words.
Thank you, and thank you for being here today and for your testimony. Members, no questions. The chair will call Kevin Hale. Kevin, we have you registered as Kevin Hale, Legislative Coordinator for the Libertarian Party of Texas, and self testifying for the bill. Is that correct?
That is correct, and my apologies to Rep. Reynolds for not having a prepared statement.
It's all right.
Pass this bill because when you get a study started, what's going to happen is the jailer's going to know that people are looking over their shoulders finally, and maybe they'll start acting right, start treating us right. And I'm so glad that you got this bill up, but why didn't it pass last time? It ran out of time. Let's don't let that happen. Let's get it out of here quickly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Members, any questions? All right. Thank you, Kevin. Chair calls Brandon Wood. Brandon, thank you for being here today. We have you registered as Brandon Wood, Executive Director for Texas Commission on Jail Standards, testifying neutral on the bill. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead.
Brandon Wood, Executive Director, Texas Commission on Jail Standards. I am here to answer any questions that you may have and how the commission would interpret and implement the bill if it is passed.
All right. Members, any questions? Representative Love. Oh, wait. Go ahead, Chair Tepper. He was quicker to the switch. Go right ahead.
So the Commission on Jail Standards doesn't have any authority to require that the sheriff's office handle the issues in the report?
So I believe what you're asking is, do we have the authority to enforce and basically force compliance with those minimum jail standards that have been adopted and that also, some of which are in the actual statute? We do issue the notices of noncompliance. Harris County has been taken to the next level in regards to that notice of noncompliance, and they have been issued a remedial order, which is an administrative action that our board can issue in their own name, requiring them to comply with minimum jail standards. I think it's important to note that at the February 6th, 2025 meeting of the Commission on Jail Standards, that remedial order was then referred to the Office of the Attorney General for enforcement. So it has been taken to the next level at this point in time in order to hopefully force compliance with minimum jail standards and to address the ongoing notice of noncompliance and continually failing those inspections that do occur.
Is Harris County the most egregious offender of the standards?
They have been issued several notices of noncompliance. Since fiscal year 21, we have conducted 8 special inspections, 4 comprehensive inspections, which are on-site, all-inclusive inspections, and 3 re-inspections. That's based upon the risk level that they are currently rated at due to the fact that they have continued areas of noncompliance. They have been able to periodically regain compliance, but unfortunately they will have an incident or they will fail a comprehensive inspection that places them back in noncompliance. Due to the fact that they have failed more than 2 comprehensive inspections and then 2 inspections in total within an 18-month period, they are now placed in enhanced enforcement, which does require the commission to conduct additional on-site inspections and special inspections in an attempt to identify and keep them working on those areas of noncompliance.
Do you have a list of maybe the top 3 worst offenses there?
One of the items in which they have continuously struggled to comply with minimum jail standards is appropriate staffing in order to ensure that they have the correct number of officers available on each floor of their facility, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They operate 2 multi-story facilities along with a joint processing center, and they have struggled meeting those staffing requirements on a continuing basis. That is one of the reasons why we have capped the capacity at the Harris County Jail to the number of staff available. That has in turn forced them to house inmates out of county to include a sizable number outside the state of Texas in an attempt to try to comply with those staffing ratios.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you briefly, do you think that this bill or the study that's being asked for or the additional or supplemental study or more inquisitive study of what will be done, would that reveal more information if that's conducted under Representative Reynolds' bill, provide more information to stakeholders to understand better what some of these issues are?
I believe that it could assist in identifying some of the areas, potentially bringing forth recommendations that would be considered best practices. We primarily focus on assisting jails meeting those minimum jail standards, the minimum that is set in place, and being able to recommend best practices or identify other areas that would traditionally fall outside of our area of expertise may be of value to stakeholders, constituents, and potentially even county leadership.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you being here today and,
Yes, sir.
and being available to answer questions and deal with these issues. So appreciate it. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify on, for, or against the bill? If not, the chair would recognize Representative Reynolds to close.
Thank you, members and Representative Tepper for that question. And I was happy that we had the resource witness here that basically clarified everything that I stated and the witnesses stated. And unfortunately, tragically, based on his testimony, some of these deaths could have been prevented. So members, individuals confined to the Harris County Jail deserve their chance to have their day in court. And most importantly, they deserve their right to live. House Bill 2668 provides transparency and recommendations on how the Harris County Jail can improve. And I would like to thank my constituent, Ms. Griffin. She's been tireless. She's made this her passion, and she traveled all the way here today to give her testimony. It is my goal to make sure that we remember Evan Lee Griffin's life and all those who tragically died while waiting the day in court. And I ask for this body's favorable consideration, and I close.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for your testimony, and thank you for bringing this bill. Chair moves to leave House Bill 2668 pending. Is there any objection? Hearing none, House Bill 2668 is left pending. Let me say this. We've got some other, and I'd hope to be done in time for our being on the floor, but these bills are very important. They're very important to the members and their districts. They're very important to the state of Texas, and so it's important that we spend the time necessary. And so I'm going to go ahead and the chair moves at this time that the committee stand in recess until final adjournment or recess of the House or during bill referral if permission is granted. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion prevails. The committee stands in recess.